if you can keep that will and that belief and just refuse to ever lose that battle, then you're going to have a chance.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Invincible Goalkeeping Podcast. Today, we've got a very special guest. He was the women's national team goalkeeper coach from 2020, 2019 until 2024. He coached in multiple U20 World Cups, been to multiple World Cups, multiple Olympics. He's got a wealth of knowledge and experience. He's also now currently the head coach of the Carolina Ascent in the USL Super League, where last year they won the league, now in year two. But above all that, he actually was the very first goalkeeper coach I ever had back when I was about 8-9 years old. So he's taught me everything I know, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But today on the podcast, we have Philip Poole. How are we doing, Pulley?
Well, good, man. I'm excited. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir. Let's get into it. Before we get started, how has everything been with the Ascent so far last year and in this season?
No, last season was good. We got off to a good start. We hit the ground running. It was great to win the league in our first year. A lot of learnings along the way. A lot of things that popped up. But all in all, pretty good season. And I say this a lot, is for me to be the inaugural head coach of the Carolina Ascent here in Charlotte, North Carolina, that I consider my hometown. I've lived here longer than I ever lived in England. So for me, this is a dream job and a dream come true.
No, it's amazing. I love it. So let's talk about, how did you first get into goalkeeping? What are your earliest memories of being a goalkeeper?
So I was like a lot of goalkeepers. I love football, and I was quite good. I was a good footballer, like non-goalkeeper, and I went and goal for a game. I think I was about 10. And I made 3 or 4 amazing saves, and just like the good pass or a goal, you get a clap off the sideline. But for making a save, the sideline was going bonkers. So I think for me, I fell in love with how important that can be, and sort of the cheer of a save being a bit bigger than that of a goal. And then I stayed doing both probably until I was about 12, and then I just stopped playing anywhere else, scoring goals or in centre midfield or something, and just played in goal. And it was right at that time that I went into Newcastle United's academy. Spent 6 years in their academy system from 12 to 16. So yeah, that was my formative years. Just by chance went in goal and got a big clap when I made some great saves, and that's it. Stayed there.
I think that's similar for a lot of us. Yeah. Make that save, and you see the striker's face when he misses, and you just want more of that.
Nah, it was good. I remember that first game. That was yesterday. It's funny. Not a lot of people ask me how I started in goal. They ask me questions about being a goalkeeper, but not a lot of people say, how did it actually start? So that's funny. Good question.
Yeah. And then what was the path through? So you talk about the academy, but making your way to the U.S. for college and everything. Talk about that.
So again, my youth years were with Newcastle United, and great experience. And then that came to an end at 16. So I signed just before 16, I signed for a club called Hull City, about 2.5 hours away. So just before my 16th birthday, I actually left school, left home, and moved to Hull. And it was fantastic. So Hull City had been in the Premier League, but at the time they were nowhere near it. So it was good for me. I was very close to the first team, on the bench for the first team, real experience as a young player of men's football, and did okay initially. Struggled a little bit in the middle, and then at the end, the club ran into some big financial difficulties. Again, I actually think, looking back, even if they were the richest club in the world, I'm not sure that I would have progressed anyway. So I was fortunate, Andrew, because I'm still a member now, but I'm part of the PFA, so like the Players Union. And the Players Union for young players then would say, look, if you're not very smart, we can help you try and get a job in construction or something. Or if you're maybe you've got a little bit of academic kind of background behind you, there's a chance you can go to the United States and study and play. So for me, I was interested in that. So then I went to our Players Union, our PFA Combine, and I was really I had no idea, never had no concept of American colleges. And I was offered, I think in the end it was 12 full scholarships by 12 different schools all over the country. And I didn't know the difference between Harvard and Central Piedmont Community College. They meant the same thing to me. So I met with these coaches and spoke to them on the phone, and I just liked a particular coach who was funny, clearly passionate, someone that just was easy to talk to, and his name was Gary Hamill. And of all these places, I've still got the brochures at home. I ended up at Wingate University, so just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. And honestly, if it's probably a good thing that I didn't know then what I know now, because I never would have gone to a small place like Wingate. But had I not done that, I never would have survived US college, and a lot of other things. So for me, that's the journey that took me from a kid in Newcastle to Union County, North Carolina.
No, that's awesome. I think sometimes, I mean, I talk about this a lot with young keepers, but just never knowing what that path looks like, right? And like you said, if you would have known better, you wouldn't have went there. But you went there for a reason, and it's led you to where you are now. So
it's just like I tell this story sometimes. So 6 months before I arrived in Wingate, North Carolina, I was on the bench in the third round of the FA Cup against Aston Villa at Villa Park in front of 40,000, and then you go to Wingate, North Carolina, and it's just a culture shock. But I say this to a lot of young goalkeepers: is once the referee blows the whistle in a game, whether it's in the park, whether it's at Villa Park, or whether it's in Wingate, North Carolina, the game's a game, and there's a competitiveness about you. So for me, I wouldn't change it for the world. It was a very different 6 months going from Villa Park to Wingate University, but wouldn't change it for the world.
that's amazing. So tell me about kind of the time after that, your transition to coaching, and was coaching something you always knew you wanted to do?
Yeah, I've never done anything else. I've never been outside of football. So I knew, even back in England, I knew that I would try and coach one day or try and figure it out. And I actually did a couple of the old FA coaching licenses while I was still playing, and I just enjoyed it. I always enjoyed being around coaches. I always enjoyed being around goalkeeper coaches. So I knew I would do it eventually. So even as I came here and was attending Wingate University, I was actually working with the local club, with their teams and their goalkeepers, and I think I did a decent job. And then I think I was 21 at the time. I managed. Someone invited me to join the Region 3 ODP staff, right? And so I'd work with our North Carolina ODP, then the Region 3 ODP staff, and then the National ODP staff. And then I just kept getting all these great opportunities. So I knew I was going to coach. I kind of did it at the same time I was in college, which was good because that was great experience. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and those formative years I look back on were important. So right through college, I got these opportunities to go and advance myself. And I don't think I knew anything more than anyone, Andrew, but I think like I was really fortunate to be around. At the time, Bobby Moose was with the Region 3 staff and the North Carolina staff, and Chris Little and Darren Powell, right? I mean, Darren Powell's, spent the majority of his career in Major League Soccer. Chris Little in Major League Soccer. Bobby Moose obviously done amazing things in NCAA football. And it was that type of circle of people that I was just really affected by being around. And some of those people were really good to me and mentoring me and helping me. And this is still before I was 22. So I feel like I worked hard for these opportunities, but I was very lucky to be around. I could name about another 10 fantastic mentors, but very lucky to be around some really top people.
So would you say seeing those coaches and the success that they had and what they were doing would like inspired you to move into the?
Not inspired, no question, but I also think again, speaking about myself here, I look back and I think they saw also something in me where I wanted to learn, I wanted to work hard, I wanted to, if there was any opportunities that they could give me and help me with, I was going to take them. And I'm not that old, but I see a lot of young coaches now, goalkeeper coaches, that, hey, if I'm not getting paid this much for it, I'm not interested. Or yeah, I like to be home by 7 at night. I'm like, for me, I would work morning, noon, night, weekend, holidays. The chance to get to work with, Coach X, Coach Y, Opportunity X, or whatever it was. And I think some of those really influential people, like I discussed, and there's 20 or 30 more I could name, I think they saw that in me, that I wanted to learn, I wanted to work hard, and I was willing to, take opportunities.
That's amazing. I one of my favorite motivational speakers, Eric Thomas. He talks a lot about you can't count the cost, and I think you just said it right there. Some people are they're maybe it's a little too much of this, or that I think that being all in is a big part of success.
It's the same as playing too, though, right? It's we all, every Monday, Saturday, Premier League, we see these goalkeepers or these coaches, and we look at whoever, name the goalkeeper, but like this guy that's earning $10 million, this guy that's earning 12. But you know what? At the end of the day, there's a period in their journey where it's not about that. It's about playing. It's about developing. It's about progressing. It's about chasing someone down and taking their job. And it's the same in coaching, like you said, right? Is it's not about the money. It's about the opportunity. It's about learning. It's about getting better. It's about being around good people. So I think it applies to a playing career and a coaching career and any career, to be fair, not just our sport.
No, that's spot on. So we talked about in the beginning, spent some years with the women's national team. Can you tell me what was just that overall experience like?
Well, I'm going to say this, and it might be controversial, but those that know. Um, Working for representing the US women's national team on a global stage is almost similar to doing the same with the Brazil men's national team. So there's an expectation in Brazil and in many parts of the world that Brazil are the favourites for every World Cup. They have to win every game. If they win 2-0, it should have been 5. If they win 5, it should have been 8. If they lose, country is stop. Coach has to be fired. So I think in a really good, healthy, positive, challenging way, that's the standard that a lot of people before me had set, from obviously some legendary players who had just compounded on top of each other over multiple years to say, we expect to win every game we play. We expect to win every tournament we play in. We expect to score the most goals in every tournament. We expect to win the World Cup, the Golden Boot, the Silver Boot, the Golden Glove, the Fair Play Award. And that's what's ingrained. And I think until you get really behind the curtain of that, and it, it's likened to the men's national team of Brazil. They're expected to win every World Cup, every Copa America, every game. If it's 2, it should have been 5, and so on. So for me, learning at that level under a fair degree of pressure, especially surrounding world events, Olympics and World Cups, was fantastic. And again, will never profess to know more than anyone else, but to be around amazing people, people that you see on camera, big players, coaches, but there's so many people behind the scenes at US Soccer that have a wealth of knowledge. And I'll give you an example. Our equipment people, they refuse to be the second best equipment people in the world, right? Everything and our marketing people and our ticketing people and our player care people, they work hard. Of course they're good, but they have this, we can't be out player cared by Germany. We can't be out equipmented by Italy. Like they're so competitive in their job, and I think it just feeds the fire. So really fortunate, unbelievable to learn a lot from a lot of good people, but actually enjoyed the pressure and the squeeze from it. I think that's, you either fall by the wayside or you develop under it.
Yeah, I think you make an incredible point of like, in a team atmosphere, you need every single person to win. One of my favorite books is called The Score Takes Care of Itself by Bill Walsh, former coach for the San Francisco 49ers when they won a bunch of Super Bowls. But one thing I remember from it was when he came to the team, they were really bad, and he completely turned around, won Super Bowls. But right when he got there, one of the first things he did, he taught the people in the office how to answer the phones, right? And like what their uniform was showing up to work. So it's like you said, all the details matter, and all it takes a whole, people you don't even see to get the wins out on the field.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Unbelievable platform.
Yeah. And so, like you've touched upon, the women's national team has a strong culture and expectation of winning. What would you learn from your time with them about building a good culture, building a winning culture, and what do you kind of bring with you to your head coaching job now?
Yeah, I think I've got a really boring answer for you, right? But I think if you can take that if you want, you can you can leave the US women's national team and you can take the Portland job or the Charlotte job or the Sacramento, and you can try and, it doesn't work, right? That's US women's national team. I think first and foremost, you have to understand, and again, as a goalkeeper coach, as a head coach, you have to know who you are, right? If you don't know you, then it's unauthentic, it's not real, and chances are it doesn't work. So for me, is saying, okay, here's who I am. Here are the things I take from that. Here are my non-negotiables and my principles when it comes to just straight up group dynamics and how we should act. And then here are my principles and here are my beliefs when it comes to football. And again, it's not taking theirs, it's understanding the strength of when people in that environment know who they are, when people in that environment have their non-negotiables, when people in that environment have their football principles. They don't have to be the same, but it's understanding that's why it works. So for me, I'm a very principle-based coach. It doesn't matter the shape or the formation. These are the things that we do in possession, out of possession. And then really big on some standards, right? Just the normal, but big on them in respect, honesty, kindness, professionalism. Just these things for me are non-negotiable. And when you get players bought into those standards and an organization bought into those standards, you see good things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. With the national team, obviously goalkeeper coach of the national team, you spent a lot of time with Alyssa Nair, arguably one of the best women's goalkeepers for the national team we've ever seen, and even, quite frankly, in the world. A big reason why the national team has had success over the past couple of years. What would you say makes someone like her so special, and what could a young goalkeeper learn from an example like her?
Well, I think the first part is subjective, right? That beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But I think the second part of your question, Alyssa Nair has got an unbelievable story, right? In terms of how she got to this place that she's in when people like yourself and millions of others recognize her as one of the best of all time. If you want to rewind 10 years, Alyssa who? Right? And we're not talking, she wasn't 15 10 years ago, right? She's in the fat part of her career 10 years ago. So if you actually look at her journey, and it's actually interesting you asked me that, and it's a really good, probably a topic for aspiring goalkeepers, young goalkeepers, whatever it may be, is Alyssa had to fight and fight and fight and fight. And if you look at who her competitors have been, probably her main adversary in the meatiest part of Alyssa's career was Hope Solo. Again, regarded as one of the best there ever was, right? And winning things in World Cups and hundreds of caps and records here, and Hope, legit goalkeeper. So Alyssa had to contend with a legend for the first X years of her career, and there were so many opportunities for her to get off the train. Right, I can't beat Hope out. I play well, but Hope gets the start, whatever it may be. So if you track Alyssa's journey from maybe pre-college to 2020, there was no spotlight. There was nothing given. She probably felt like she had a ton of opportunities to say, I'm done, I'm out. But she didn't. And there's something special about her. There's something special about the belief she has, the confidence she has. The qualities obviously speak for themselves. But her journey is all about perseverance, dedication to her craft, improvement daily basis. I mean, just the finest details. And she is a walking example of your chance might not come today or tomorrow. You might get a chance tomorrow. It might not go perfectly. You might have to wait a year for another chance. She is living, walking proof that if you put the time in and you're true to yourself and you believe in yourself, eventually you'll get this. You'll get what. And she doesn't want any spotlight. But her spotlight is basically she'll put the piece on the table and say, there's 2 World Cups, there's Olympic gold medals, there's this caps, there's this shutout record, there's this saves. And that's the only spotlight that I think she's content with, was to say, it's not about me. I don't do that many interviews on TV, but here's my body of work at the end of the day. So I think when you actually do a bit of research on her career, it's actually inspiring, humbling, motivating, that she's considered one of the best to ever play the game. But until she was about 30, Alyssa who? Right? Or just before she was 30. So for me, massive story. And then you talk about the first part of your question. Unbelievably consistent, unbelievably brave, unbelievably calm and composed. And I think the biggest thing that I would always take from Alyssa is there is no inconsistency. You know what you're going to get. You know who you're going to get. You know what she's going to come for, what she's not, where she's going to play balls to, where she's not, the type of positioning she's going to get into. And as a central defender, I know that I can leave a little bit on the outside because I know that Alyssa's going to. So consistent for the players she played with, for the coaches she played for. And she's, big moments are what she's going to be remembered for. Winning penalty shootouts, shutouts in finals, extra time saves when it mattered. Not in a 3-0 win, but a 1-0 close game. She's a legend. She's an absolute legend. She's a good human being too.
Absolutely. There's a lot to touch upon there, but I think one thing I try to live my life and my career by is just like, you never know when that moment's going to come. And all the work, like you said, 30 years old, but all the work that she had put in before and how that leads to those moments. I mean, that's something I try to push for young goalkeepers, and have to remind myself a lot. Like when I was in college, I think I counted. I didn't play in like 50 games. 50 games where you suit up, you're on the sideline, you're there for your team, and then you go home. You know, obviously you're happy for the team if you win, but didn't play. But then my junior year, I had a ton of success. But it's like, man, all 50 of those games, like it wasn't fun each time to do that. But you're building to something, even though you don't. It doesn't always feel like that.
I think I think it's so easy in hindsight to have a mature look back in it may be a career at Wake and in the toughest football conference in the ACC, but like it's the disappointment, the daily disappointment of that wild position that's goalkeeping, right? Is it's coaches don't make decisions easily. It's not an off the cuff decision. He's playing, he's not. She's playing, she's not. It's there's a lot of thoughts that goes into it, but that daily disappointment, that grind, that that wavering belief. We've all been there and we've all had it and we've all got it. And will I ever get a chance? And those things. It's like you don't see it at the time, but each one of those hardens you. Each one of those can be the one that finally breaks you. Each one of those can be the one that finally makes you. It's like you just don't know. And I think there's in our position, there's got to be a belief. There's got to be a belief in yourself. You've got to have something in your life that helps you stay strong, whether it's family, whether it's a coach, assistant coach, friends, whatever, fellow players. But like, if you can keep that will and that belief and just refuse to ever lose that battle, then you're going to have a chance. And again, that applies to life, but especially the goalkeeping. You look at that 4-year college career, the will, the belief, and the drive to say, oh, it didn't work for me freshman year. I got a little bit of sophomore year. Didn't play my junior year, but I've just set the conference record my senior year, and now I've been drafted. Whatever it is, like as long as that will and drive exists, and there's a little system to help you with that, I think that's what makes it special.
Absolutely. One quick thing I wanted to say about Alyssa, I'll never forget. We would have a couple sessions some years ago training with her, and sessions over. It's like 40 degrees outside. It's raining. It's a cold December day. Everyone's getting in their cars to get nice and warm. Alyssa's out there with like a stopwatch doing full field sprints. And that, like, for me as a young goalkeeper, I'm like, wow. And that, like, that's what it takes to win. And that's just that little winning difference.
But no one's looking, right? That's the other thing. Is like it's so easy to walk the walk when there's coaches or a team thing. Like I said, that will and belief. It's those days for her that no one saw, no one sees, no one saw, and she doesn't need this story or want. It's like it's just what winners and champions do, and that's no different to a sprinter, no different to a weightlifter, no different to someone that's crushing it in business. It's the stuff behind the scenes that no one sees that supports your will and your desire and your drive. There's got to be like scaffolding and structure around that, and that's normal. That's her normal, right? And that's why she's successful.
Oh, no, I love that. Switching gears, obviously head coach now, but going back to more of the goalkeeper side, when you are in goalkeeper coach mode, when you were, what are the biggest things that you focus on with your goalkeepers? What is your overall goalkeeper philosophy that you believe is most important for your goalkeepers that you focus on in session?
It depends. So it depends at what juncture I would get them, right? So I look at someone like yourself, right? At 8 years old, it's a blank canvas, and you get to say, okay, we're going to start at A, and maybe you get a goalkeeper that's 14 or 15 years old, and there's been something put into them. I think my experience tells me, after many years, I would have answered this question differently 5 years ago or 10 years ago or more. My experience says there's no one way to do it. There's no right way to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. If you keep the ball out of the back of the net and don't give rebounds like that's ultimately what it's about. And I think years gone by, I would have said, without this, this, and this, I don't think there is one way. I don't think there's a right and wrong. But I do believe it's very difficult to quantify, right? And I'm smiling when I say it because it can be argued, is I think you look for a winner. Like someone that's got a little bit of something, someone's got some, like who's brave, who's got some sort of like charisma, who's got some refusal to accept a goal going in. That I think they're like basic ingredients, and you say, okay, now we can work with that, because that it's very difficult to build a really technically polished and proficient goalkeeper that's not brave, that's not competitive, that's not just I want to win so badly that I'm willing to do X, Y, and I think that's where time in the game and experience and longevity as a coach, you've seen every young goalkeeper 10 times. Yeah, that guy reminds me of him. She reminds me of a young her or whatever. But like there's certain qualities along the way that, again, I just put it into this like really grey, loose bucket. There's just winners and people that are willing to do a little bit more, people that are a little bit more hungry, people that have got this, we get this crazy target. I don't need a crazy goalkeeper, just someone that's obsessed by winning, keeping the ball out of the back and then improving, figuring out why they didn't do this well and how they can do that better. And when push comes to shove, someone that's just brave, competitive. We've all been there, right? You've got a choice to make on a cross that's whipped across the 6-yard box, or you've got a choice to make on a 1v1 or whatever it may be. So I think that then, if we got into the technical side, I'm still a believer in catching the ball. I'm still a believer in that, you've got to have, at some point, you've got to think about the timing of your feet and when you get those feet set. And I think if you understand positioning and timing of your footwork, I think even like in the over 50s league, right? If I can move around the goal and stand in the right spot and be still rather than off balance, I'm going to get hit more than I'm going to get beat, right? So I would come back to all the things I said about winning and being brave. But if I can understand the timing of my footwork, understanding where I am in the goal, how you execute a save with your foot, with your hands, you catch it, you collapse, whatever the fancy terms are now. If you're in the right place and your feet are set and balanced, I think you've got a chance. And I think I'll get, even in the under 50s league, I'll get hit if I'm in the right place more than I'll concede. So yeah, I would come back to foot positioning and timing of your footwork, and then some of those external or some of those X factors of just what you're prepared to do to win.
Yeah. Something we've kind of talked about off camera and we've even touched upon so far is kind of that mental side. Could you kind of just touch a little bit more upon just how important that is as a goalkeeper, and maybe some practical ways that a young goalkeeper can kind of build that strong mentality?
It's hard, Andrew. Like it's a learned thing, right? So you have to take that competitive winner or that kid that's the other end of the spectrum that's really good technically, it's not a winner, and you've got to teach them mentality and you've got to push lessons into them, and sometimes in terms of, it's going to be okay, made a mistake, this is how we address it, or better than that wasn't good enough, what the standards are and you didn't meet them. And I think this like mentality is like needs to be learned, and there needs to be some guidance from coaches or parents or PE teachers or whoever's guiding these kids. It's failure is a good thing, we know all that stuff, that we talk about failing forward, and if you don't fail you're not learning. But I think like for me as a young goalkeeper, I struggled like emotionally. Like if I went 1-0 down, my world was going to end. I wanted to rip someone's head off and smack them with their own arms, right? Like the thought of letting a goal in keeps me awake at night, and I needed someone to kind of talk me down a little bit, and not it's okay, but hey, stay in it, keep moving forward, it's about the next action. So I think it's about a good system, a good support system, again, whether it's parents, whether it's coaches, just to understand that the goalkeeper you're working with, right? Do they need to be brought down and honed in? Do they need a kick in the arse and like, hey, that wasn't quite where it needs to be? Are they a visual learner, whatever it may be? So I think there's different ways to do it, but the biggest piece of advice that I would always hear that I was never mature enough to understand is, that's gone, what you do next is important. Whether that's today's gone, tomorrow's important. Whether that's you've just conceded for 1-1 in the 60th minute, keep your team in it, and whether it's whatever it may be is, and again, it sticks true to life and different jobs and industries. That's gone. What you do next is important. You can't get it back. And living in the past is only good in history books. Like, let's kind of keep going and what's next. So I think that's the biggest thing. And I would hear that when I was a young goalkeeper. And obviously I knew better. Right? I knew more than whoever was telling me I didn't. And it's great. It's true time-tested advice.
Mm-hmm. And would you say that just comes with experience and just learning and maturing?
Yeah.
That's the only way.
Like, again, going back to, you got to have some bad experiences to learn and move forward, and some, no one in any career has just had a perfectly, straight trajectory to the top. There's some bumps and some things to overcome. But yeah, I think it's just experience. And again, you don't have to get to 50 to learn that. Is if you've got a good system around you, you can impart that sort of wisdom on 9, 10, 11-year-olds that, hey, didn't play well, or first half wasn't good. Let's see if we can draw a line under it and see how good we can be in the second half. Or they were away from home as a 15, 16-year-old. It's 1-1. Yeah, we were 1-0 up until a minute ago. Let's take a point home, right? It's just learned experience, I think, for young goalkeepers. And I think coaches play a massive part in that.
Yeah. Would you say it's important that a young keeper has that coach as a mentor? Maybe like a private coach, or like their goalkeeper coach in the club, or just someone they can look up to and get some kind of feedback from. And
I think every coach, Andrew, should be that person.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not massive in subscribing to the private lessons.
Yeah.
Like, anytime I'd work with goalkeepers, I want a group. I want competitiveness. I want you to beat that person, or that person to beat this person. Or, for me, I never subscribe to that. So anyway, I think whoever the coach is, whether it's, again, even in a high school, the athletic director, right, which the team coach, the assistant coach, the goalkeeper coach, anyone involved with development football should be imparting that advice. Again, it's no different to a centre forward, right? You haven't scored for 3 games, but keep doing the things you need to do to score rather than focusing. And same with the goalkeeper. So I don't think anyone needs to rush out and get themselves a private goalkeeper coach, or pay hundreds of dollars for a session. But whoever that person is, if you're around in development football, you're obliged to pass that on and pass that wisdom on and that experience on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this has been great. Just a couple questions to wrap up. So, what would be the biggest piece of advice you would give to a young, hungry goalkeeper? One that would want to play professionally one day, play in a World Cup. What would be the biggest piece of advice you'd give to that young, hungry goalkeeper?
Well, I think young players, especially goalkeepers, have got to play in games, right? Like, I personally, if I could rewind that, I love Monday morning. I love the smell of training. I love diving around for hours. But as good as that is, you've got to play in games. And at the youth level, we all get attracted to this team in the city, or this team in the city, or have to play at this level. I'd say for a goalkeeper, we're so fortunate that, maybe the best centre midfielder in that city has to play for whoever we think the top team is. Goalkeepers should be playing games. And if that's playing on the second team, different club, whatever it may be, playing games is going to fast forward you over watching games. And then, the next rung of the ladder is youth play going into college, right? Like, there's nothing better than, watching Ohio State versus Michigan football on a Saturday and thinking, I want to play college soccer there. And that might not be right for you, and I think to go to college with a view of saying, I want to put myself in a position to play as many games in 4 years as possible, and understanding there might be a plan where I'll redshirt a year, but I've got 4 after that, or to go and watch a lot of games, I think for me is tough. So again, I would always advise a goalkeeper takes the quickest route to playing. Then again, coming out of college, the landscape's changed dramatically. Well, if I'm not drafted by a team in MLS, not interested, as opposed to saying, you know what, I'll go and play 60 games over 2 years in USL League One, and I'll go and build that career, because we all know a lot of people that have played 4 games in 6 years, maybe in MLS. And while there's some creature comfort to that, I'd argue that there's a lack of ambition, or they haven't played enough games. And I think now with the landscape changing, right, we have obviously the direct route to MLS Next Pro, League One, Championship, and now USL's Premier League with promotion and relegation. It's going to be unbelievable. And on the women's side, we've got, NWSL and USL Super League and everything in between. So I think now, for goalkeepers specifically, I think you've got to play games. And I think every rung of the ladder, whether it's a goalkeeper starting out 10, 11 years old, play games. Elite youth player, do you have to play on the top ECNL on MLS Next team? No, but you need to play in games. College, go to the right school that's going to push you enough to play games, and so on and so forth. So for me, I love training. I love competing in training. I love the banter and the camaraderie in training. I love the rainy, cold days in training. I'd give my right arm to go back, but you have to play in games. Otherwise, you're gonna be all potential and no product.
Yeah. It's almost like putting that ego aside at some point too, and just knowing like maybe it is a lower level, but if you're playing, you're getting that experience. And I see this a lot with a lot of like youth kids and their parents, and they want them to be on the top team in the biggest club in the city. And sometimes it just doesn't make sense, right?
But it's easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
Again, I'll only blame myself. If you tell me that at 14, my ego's too big at 14, right? I don't want to do that. And, I'm going to play for England one day, right? Like, that's all I think at 14. So again, it comes down to guidance, whether it's parents, whether it's coaches, however the system is a little guidance, a little bit of, helping people find them. And then again, podcasts like this that, get advice, working with good people and being around the best people, like those are things that kind of help steer some of those decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Very last question. What is your favorite thing about goalkeeping?
I think I just said it, right? Like I've got two, but I can't pick one over the other. I'm going to actually say about 7 in one. So
you just do what you want. Okay.
I don't know why, but I feel when you put a pair of goalkeeper gloves on, I feel a certain way, right? So at the moment you put some gloves on, I feel something. So getting out there, muddy, rainy, cold day, gloves on, like for me, that's heaven, right? Like I want to do that all day. I like competing. I like the banter of when I make a save and I can talk smack to someone. I love it. I love when training gets intense and it's right on the edge. But then all of that is not as good as making an important save in an important time. And I was probably guilty as a young goalkeeper of being really good in 3-0 wins or 3-0 losses. But that game when you win 1-0 and you've made 3 or 4 important contributions, whether it's a save or whatever it may be, that feeling is so hard. It's so hard to replicate. I would chase that. I'd imagine like if you could bottle that up and sell it, I would give you my last dollar to kind of feel that again. Even if there's no crowd there, like when you get the respect of your teammates because they know 82nd minute and you've done your job properly to keep them in it. That's a big feeling, And last one is just winning, right? Like when the final whistle goes, I still get overexcited as a head coach, right? Like there's so much work goes into it, slightly different feeling as a player. But when I combine putting the gloves on, training, competing, making an important save, but when the final whistle goes and you're on the right side of it, it's no better feeling.
Yeah,
for me.
No better feeling. I love that. Well, that's all I've got. I'd like to thank Poole for his time. If you live in the Charlotte area, come out to Memorial Stadium, catch a Carolina Ascent game. Good team, some proper footy. But I'd like to thank Poole for his time, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Thank you.